personally like to call the coordination tax. It's the time wasted managing projects.
We are back again, speed inciting our way through stuff about how hard life is. The Queen of England died 18 months ago. She ruled an entire nation and accumulated more wealth than 99.9% of humans. And yet, you haven't thought about her, except for right now. No matter how big your dreams, you're gonna die. Everyone will move on. Do what you want. It sucks to not be liked, but it sucks more to not be yourself.
It sucks more to be yourself than it is to be liked. Is that you all are like, you all want to do something to be liked, but it sucks more to be liked than to be yourself. He pretty much stated it all. What I want to say. But knowing that you didn't think about it sucks to be liked the more about yourself. We all want to be liked. We all want to know what it is to feel to be liked.
Yeah, it's really interesting when we think about what tactically happens when someone dies, right? Like a lot of emotion exists in the vague, but far less in the specific, because
it happens more in the vague than the specific, because if you talk about the vague, the emotion comes out. If you talk about the specific, you talk literally in the specific, versus in the vague is more where the emotion lies, is what he's trying to imply.
you plan your funeral, right? And then you think that everyone's going to be standing there just forever changed because of the death and the impact that you had on their lives.
No.
But the reality is there's going to be a caterer.
The reality is they will be thinking about you every once in a while. Once a month is the way I look at it. Because if you made that much of an impact, nobody really cares about when you die. Because when you die, you'll be forgotten in 3 generations.
At the funeral, some people are going to like the food. Some people are going to comment that it was too cheap, the food that you had. They're going to have comment on the venue, like, oh, I don't really, it's a little hot. There's going to be somebody who's going to make a list of people and they're going to check them off. Some people aren't going to be able to make it last minute because things came up and it got busy. And after the whole funeral's over, everyone's going to go to a restaurant and just eat dinner and then move on with their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so, not to say that
That's why I stated it'll be forgotten in 2 generations. You will not live the life that you want to see unless you make the life that you want to make and curate the life that you want to curate, if that makes sense.
The people who, mean a lot to you won't remember you to a degree, sure. But on the macro scale, when I think about somebody like the Queen who accomplished so much in her life as the zenith of, accomplishment, and most people probably haven't thought about her today, except for the fact that we just brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that whenever I have my harder times, that's my like reminder to self of the absurdity of it all, which is like someone's going to argue over what appetizer they're going to serve when I die. This probably doesn't matter that much.
How does that change the way that you show up and operate in the moment?
I think it just decreases affect in the acute moment. So I define resiliency as the amount of time after an aversive stimulus, after a bad thing happens, that you return back to baseline behavior. And so
you turn back to baseline because that is your baseline behavior. For me, that's making content and trying to go big on YouTube. That's my baseline behavior. What's yours?
And then there's the different one, which is how long is your fuse, which is toughness, and that's a whole different thing, right? But resiliency is like, okay, I've been cracked. I've hit the fuse, the bomb's gone off. But the size of the bomb is irrelevant. Like, you could be super resilient, have a terrible day, your father dies, and the next day you're back. People are like, holy shit. It's like you go to the depths of hell, you touch the bottom of the pool, and then you shoot back up. And so I think about how many different tools can I have in my tool set to make the rebound from down to back up as V-shaped as possible.
What are those tools for you?
Cosmic irrelevance is probably the biggest one when I think about like, because it's so fast, I feel like I do it almost automatically now, which is like, okay, I want a planet spinning around a sun, inside of a galaxy, inside of a universe that will never reach the end of because it's expanding faster than the speed of light. Okay, the fact that, you know, there was a mistake in my book printing, no one's gonna care. No one,
Agreed.
it just doesn't matter, right?
The mistakes nobody sees, the pitfalls is what everybody sees. You see yourself getting better. That's what other people see. They don't see anything else. It maybe might show evidence of you getting worse, but that's only like a few people, if that makes sense.
So that's one of them. Another one's the frame of the veteran, which I use a lot, which is if this inconvenience happened 1,000 times in a row, on the 1,000th time, what would I think about it? Well, I'd probably be like, well, this is just how life is. And then if I could feel that way on the 1,000th time, then it means that I can feel that way on the first time right now, because it's just choice, because the actual circumstance is the same. Those are probably like my two most prevalent, or, you know, the ones that I like, my default ones they're my back pocket.
There's a cool insight that the more you complain, the less accurate your model of reality. So complaining is you saying,
Complaining is the world hurts you, and you complain back at it. Complaining is getting a complainance of something in your perspective of where the world hurt you, which means you have to hurt the world back, is what he's trying to say.
world isn't delivering to me that which I anticipated or expected or desired from it, which is also you saying, I don't understand how the world works until it comes and meets me in reality.
God, I haven't heard it phrased that way, and I really like it.
I like it too.
I think about the hate that we all get, whether it's from ourselves or other people, or the hate that we spew towards the external conditions, is simply boiled down to this person lives their life in a way that I would not prefer. And so I have translated every single negative comment that comes to me, where someone complains about me, so flipping the script, to Alex lives his life in a way that I would not prefer.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's actually been this very weird, like, oh, they said all this stuff. And I was like, does that mean I live my life in a way they wouldn't prefer? Great, because they live their life in a way that I wouldn't prefer. And that's why it's their life and I live my life. And it's just been this.
We all live our own lives, which means we all have our own scripts, which means you are not a carbon copy of somebody else. You're a carbon copy of yourself, is what he's implying.
Really wonderful reframe that like, just almost comically completely minimizes most things.
Yes.
But I think that complaints come down to that.
Go
The universe exists in a way that I would not prefer. Right?
Yep.
It's like,
Why are you not bending to my will?
yeah. And so I think I can't remember the psychologist. I'm gonna butcher it. But one of the big guys I want to say Kinsey, but I don't want to mess it up. Talked about there's three primary things that everyone casts all their pain and suffering to, which is you have circumstances, you have other people, and then you have self, and that's it. Those are the three big ones that everyone puts all of their blame on. And so the first two obviously don't serve you. The third sometimes serves you depending on what you do as a result of it, right? And so that actually, those big three has just been a really easy filter. Is like, oh, am I blaming circumstances? Am I blaming other people? Am I blaming me? And obviously you want to skip to you because that's the only thing you can do anything about.
The idea that all of the things that you're working toward, all of the dreams, all of those things are going to stop. There is going to be a day when you no longer answer your emails. Like, I think about this. I think about how many, even now, right? Email's not been around for that long, widespread, maybe 25 years, something like that. Most people have had an email address, maybe 20 years. All of the people that have died between then and now, they just have email inboxes, just accumulating stuff from, lots of newsletters, lots of online retailers. But there will also be people expecting a reply.
Right.
And saying, why hasn't this guy replied to me? And it's like, because he's dead.
Yeah. There's just thinking, I think a lot about the end of my life. Maybe it's a borderline obsession of mine, but thinking about like what the last 5 years are going to look like, and also thinking about my cognitive decline, which is going to be inevitable on the back half of my life. And it gets really tricky when you think about fluid intelligence, which peaks when you're like between 25 and 35, and then like
fluid intelligence, in my personal opinion, is the amount of fluid of intelligence that flows to your brain in a certain frame of mind. There's a certain realm of thought. So hopefully that makes sense for y'all.
At our age, right now, it's just all going down, right?
Yeah.
Like we're beginning the slow decline.
I mean,
And in thinking about that, I was
I'm 21, so I have a lot more fluid intelligence left to live. So,
I will actually never be sharper than I am today for the rest of my life. And the idea that there will be young people who will replace me because humans are all replaceable, we have proven that. And so when I think about that, it decreases the stakes of these huge dreams that if I don't accomplish them, I will be upset or else.
agreed.
And so it's like we have these big or else's, like we want to threaten the universe. Like, I can't stand it if this does not occur. It's like, and the universe remains unchanged, and the universe is undefeated.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Correct. Well, that's why I was my Twitter bio for a long time was locally reversing entropy.
that. Yeah.
And I just love that idea
Yeah.
that you have the entire universe, this force entropy, which is going to inevitably destroy everything.
Yeah.
Not just everything you care about,
Yeah.
everything that could have created anything that anything could have cared about. And it's going to destroy it.
Yeah.
But for a brief period of time,
Yeah.
a few decades,
Yeah.
you locally stop the most powerful force in the universe. I think that's so fucking cool.
I don't know if you saw this, but Bezos has this one page that was just brilliant. And he basically paraphrases Richard Dawkins talking about how over time, all organisms revert to their environment. Literally, like the temperature of your body once you die eventually just normalizes with the environment. The acidity of what's going on, like inside of your body, normalizes. And then eventually you become one with your environment. And so it's the exact same concept. And so Bezos was talking about that quote, which was about biology. But he said, this is, originally about biology, but so much more so about the way that we want to live, which is that everything around you will try and force you to dilute yourself. It will force you to try and merge in, fit in with your surroundings. And he said, like, this force is natural and it's inevitable, and yet we have to fight it. And the fact that it's hard does not make it less worth it. And I thought that was like, it was just, I reposted it because I thought it was so elegant.
It's like a cosmic regression to the mean.
Yeah, it's exactly that. That's exactly what it is. So I think if we all know that we're going to, the regression to the mean is inevitable. Again, I think about these things that are, I want to say, I don't know if humiliating is the word, but like humility inducing. But like the idea that I'll die and then like worms will eat my body. Just like a very simple thing like that. Or if I die, like I was like, what if I just died by an animal killing me? Sometimes I think about that and I'm like, I would just be its lunch.
That too.
Like everything that I've done up to this point, it's like my arm will feed its child, and like my thigh will feed it, and then like they'll leave some of it for the
You'd be a
carrier.
good meal.
Yeah,
It would be a good meal.
It'd be one good meal.
Yeah.
And it just takes the stakes of like I'm so important, right? All of these goals matter to just like I could be lunch, and that kind of gives me one large exhale.
The single greatest skill you can develop is the ability to stay in a good mood in the absence of things to be in a good mood about.
I think that tweet has been my theme for 2025. It's funny because that was the most shared tweet I've ever had, and it was almost at the opposite of ironic. It was fitting, right? It was completely fitting for the year. And it's been because like this year I've had I would say a series of unfortunate events that has occurred, and it's really tested my tools, right? Tools in the tool belt for reframing reality so that I can make my experience less, miserable.
Making your experience less miserable is a very good one for reframing your reality. That's what I gotta say.
And so I thought about that. It's like if I were to boil everything down. Of all the skills that you can learn, if everything that we do eventually becomes irrelevant, then the single greatest skill that you can develop is being in a great mood in the absence of things to be in a great mood about. And so one of the other frames on this is most people don't question someone who's in a bad mood. like I'm just in a bad mood. So it's like, well, if you can be in a bad mood for no reason, it's like you might as well be in a good mood for no reason, because that one at least serves you. And so I've been trying to exercise, like, because there's, on one degree, there's like, let's count things to be grateful for. On the other side, it's like, why do I have to have things to be grateful for in order to be in a good mood? Like, why is trying to find things a requirement of being in that mood? Like, can I not find things and still choose to be in a good mood? Because I've certainly not had things to be in a bad mood about and been in a bad mood. And so I've been trying to flex that, which is like, sure, we can find things to be grateful for, and when those things pop up, yes, and you know, it's a practice, you get better at it, but like, what if I could just be in a good mood? And so I've just tried to break that relationship between the two, because then it makes it contingent on something that I can find.
How successful have you been at that?
Mediocre.
Well, look, I think it's a lovely idea in isolation,
Sure.
in theory, but I'm not convinced about how effective it is in practice for
Agreed.
the reason that humans have a negativity bias. You know,
Yeah, I agree. We have a negativity bias. We only look at our pitfalls. We only look at our downsides. We don't look at our positives, which means the negativity bias comes back into play.
a psychological entropy
100%.
and your ability to detect things that are a risk to you significantly better than your ability to detect things that are just pleasant. Like this morning, I texted you and I was like, hey man, like I really love the feeling I have of anticipation on a morning before we do a podcast. That's a normal, boring, mundane source of pleasure to me.
Yeah.
If I'm not really, really training myself to notice that,
Yeah.
it just fucking falls away with the fact that, I asked for almond milk and I bet this would have been better with like whole milk.
If that's the thing that ruins the day. And the thing is you do notice it though, right? You do notice that. So I've had, one of my themes this year has been focusing on moments and on both the positive and the negative. And so like when we think back on, if I think back on last year, right, I don't remember probably 95% of the year. Like I did the same things. And so it's like, it just didn't get recorded. Like nothing notable happened. And so really like when we think about a year, we really just recall a handful of moments and that's it. And those moments in time are usually very short. And so I've been trying to think about the bad, seasons as, well, maybe it wasn't a bad season. Maybe I had 5 bad days or really 5 bad moments that I then thought about for the entire season and turned what would have otherwise been 5 minutes times 5 into an entirely bad year. And so it's like, okay, well, if we can do that in the negative, can we do the positive? Which is, obviously the thing to exercise. But to the point that you said earlier about our ability to detect threat and risk at such better accuracy than our ability to detect good things, it's so interesting because if you use that side of your brain, not to derail us, but like I think that has been one of the things that's helped me a tremendous amount in business. Because when I think about a business and I want to grow it, for example, I would think, okay, what are all the things that can destroy this business? And this is Charlie Munger, this isn't me. But basically he says, invert, always invert. And Einstein said that too. And it's because like you get to use this way stronger horsepower engine of like, how do I grow my business? That's